There are storms we carry inside us, silent, unseen, but loud enough to echo through every decision we make. And the deepest storm, it often begins where no one dares to look, with our mother. Yes, the one who held you, fed you, kissed your forehead, but also the one whose absence, whose silence, whose unmet love carved an emptiness inside you that you still don't know how to name. This isn't just a story of pain. It's a story of transformation, of looking your deepest wound in the eye and finally saying, I see you. If you've ever felt like you're stuck, like something invisible is still holding you back, like your heart is healing in slow motion, then this is the truth your soul has been begging to hear, because you will never truly heal until you understand this one thing about your mother. And once you do, you rise. There's a strange silence that lives deep inside us, a silence so loud it shakes your bones every time you dare to remember. It's the wound you never spoke of, the ache you were taught to ignore, the storm that raged quietly in the background of your childhood. This isn't about a cut or a bruise. It's about the invisible scars that formed when you were too small to understand what pain even was. And what makes this wound even more dangerous is that it came from someone who was supposed to love you the most. That's the mind twist, the confusion, the emotional chaos. You were just a child, wide-eyed, craving warmth, looking up with hope. And maybe she was there, but not really. Maybe her eyes saw you, but her heart didn't. Maybe she fed you, clothed you, but starved your spirit. And the world? Oh, the world clapped. They praised her. They told you to smile and say thank you. But inside your soul was screaming, see me, please. And no one ever heard. You didn't know what was wrong, so you blamed yourself. That's how the wound was born, not through violence, but through absence. The absence of understanding, of emotional safety, of gentle love. You grew up learning how to smile when you wanted to cry, how to nod when your heart said no, how to pretend everything was okay when your world was a burning house inside. And the worst part? You were told not to feel it. You were told to forget it. She did her best, they said, and maybe she did. But that doesn't erase what you felt when she wasn't there. The way you needed her. The wound was never touched, never cleaned, never cared for. It got buried, hidden, dismissed. But here's the truth that should set fire to your numbness. That wound is the root of so much of your present pain. Your self-doubt, your fear of being too much or not enough, your hunger for approval that feels like a never-ending chase. And it's not your fault. You didn't ask for this. You were just trying to survive. But now you are no longer that child. Now you have the power to go back, to look at that silent, trembling version of you and say, I see you, I believe you, and I will never abandon you again. Healing begins not with revenge, not with anger, but with truth. Honest, raw, soul-shaking truth, the kind that doesn't need anyone's approval, the kind that frees you from the inside out. This is your time. This is the chapter where you finally touch the wound, not to hurt it more, but to hold it with compassion, to clean it with courage, to whisper to it, you deserved better, because you did. And now you're going to become better, stronger, louder, braver. The wound they told you to ignore is the very place your power will rise from. Let it rise. Let it roar. It's terrifying, isn't it? The realization that you're living inside a story that isn't even yours. That the choices you make, the fears you carry, the way you react, even the way you love or walk away, all of it might not come from you, but from the programming that was stitched into your soul when you were too young to fight it. This programming didn't arrive with noise. It came in silence, in glances, in words that hit harder than fists ever could. You were a blank canvas, just a child, and her words became your rules. Be quiet. Don't cry. Don't disappoint me. And just like that, you became something else. A version of yourself that wasn't free. A puppet pulled by strings made of invisible commands. You started to live not by what you needed, but by what you feared. Fear of rejection. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being too much. Fear that if you made a mistake, she'd withdraw her love. And you didn't want to lose her. So you obeyed. You shaped yourself like clay into the child she needed. Maybe a performer, maybe a perfectionist, maybe invisible. And guess what? You carried that same costume into adulthood. You still perform. You still panic when someone's disappointed in you. You still shrink to make others comfortable. Because the programming never left, it just disguised itself as your personality. But here's the truth that should shake your spine. That isn't you. It was never you. It was survival. It was adaptation. You became what you needed to be so you wouldn't lose the only love you had. And that was smart. That was powerful. That was the brilliance of a child doing their best in a confusing world. But now it's killing your spirit. Now it's suffocating your voice. That programming is making you small in rooms where you're meant to stand tall. It's making you doubt your power, question your worth, apologize for existing. Enough. It's time to snap out of the trance. It's time to tear the script piece by piece and write your own rules. No more reacting on autopilot. No more playing roles in stories that make you hate yourself. You can reprogram yourself. You can become someone new. And no, you don't need anyone's permission. You don't need her to say sorry. You don't need her to undo what was done. All you need is clarity and the courage to face it. Face those moments. Reclaim those beliefs. Replace them. Rewire the whole damn machine. You were not born broken. You were born whole. The programming lied to you. And now you're awake. You're the one behind the wheel now. Drive like your life depends on it, because it does. Don't let silence control you anymore. Don't let fear run the show. This is your turn to rewrite every line of your life in your voice. Loud, wild, free. Isn't it strange how we chase the very thing that hurt us? Like a moth diving into a flame, knowing it will burn, yet unable to stop. That's the cruel twist of trauma. When the first place you were supposed to feel safe became a place of confusion, silence, or emotional coldness, your heart rewrote the definition of love. Love stopped being comfort. Love became a test, a game, a prize you had to earn with perfect behavior, quiet obedience, or pretending you were okay when you weren't. And now, years later, the same script plays on repeat. You find yourself drawn to people who make you feel invisible. People who pull you close then push you away. People who make you feel like you're never enough, keep you just enough to keep trying. It's not a coincidence. It's not weakness, it's familiar. That ache in your chest, that panic when someone ignores you, that tight grip on people who don't value you, it's all echoes of the love you experienced first. Because if you didn't feel unconditional love back then, your mind now thinks love is supposed to hurt. That if you struggle for it, maybe one day you'll finally be worthy of it. But here's where the fire starts. You don't have to chase anymore. You don't have to earn what should have been freely given. You don't have to bleed to prove you deserve to be held. Love is not pain. Love is not silence. Love is not cold approval that comes and goes depending on how perfect you are. And until you stop chasing it from those who remind you of your mother's distance, you'll stay stuck in the loop that whispers, maybe this time, if I do it just right, they'll finally love me the way I needed her to. But they won't. Because that place in your heart isn't waiting for them, it's waiting for you. You are the one who must give yourself the love you were denied. You are the one who must say, I am enough, even when I mess up, even when I'm loud, even when I cry. I am lovable because I breathe, not because I perform. This shift, it's everything. It's a scream of freedom. You don't need to keep chasing people who make you feel like a burden. You don't need to replay the pain just to feel alive. You're not the child begging for love anymore. You're the warrior reclaiming it. And the moment you choose peace over pursuit, self-worth over approval, stillness over anxiety, that's when you finally break the cycle. That's when your life becomes yours. The love you seek is already inside you, waiting, burning, aching to be let out. Don't chase the flame that burns you. Be the fire that warms you. That's power. That's real, and that is love redefined. It hits you like a strange storm, one part sorrow, one part fury, and somewhere in between confusion. You begin to see your mother not as the towering figure she once was, but as a human, a woman, fragile, flawed, wounded. And that moment, that realization, it shakes the ground beneath you. Because suddenly, you see that she too was carrying her own pain. Maybe she was never shown love. Maybe life broke her spirit before she ever held you in her arms. Maybe no one ever listened to her cries. Maybe she did what she knew, and what she knew wasn't nearly enough. And for a second, maybe more, you feel sympathy, you feel sadness for her, a crack in the anger, a warmth in the resentment. And yet at the same time, it doesn't take away the ache that's still trapped in your chest. Her pain doesn't make yours disappear. That's the emotional twist that most people can't handle. They rush to defend her. She didn't mean it. She had a hard life. She did her best. And sure, maybe she did. But that doesn't erase your sleepless night. That doesn't soothe the fear you carried every time you felt unseen. That doesn't heal the quiet voice inside you that wonders if you were ever truly loved for who you are, not for who you pretended to be. You are allowed, yes, allowed, to feel both things at once. You can feel compassion for her and still hold space for your own pain. You can understand her suffering and still honor your scars. It doesn't make you ungrateful. It makes you awake. And when you wake up, you realize this: Someone else's brokenness doesn't justify your broken heart. It explains it, but it does not excuse it. If you keep telling yourself it's selfish to feel hurt because she was hurting too, then you will live your entire life bleeding for someone else's silence. You will carry a weight that isn't yours. And that's not strength, that's erasure. Real healing begins when you stand in the middle of that emotional battlefield and say, I see her, I understand her, but I will no longer abandon myself just to protect her image. That moment, that's when the chains break. That's when the fog lifts. You don't need to hate her. You don't need to turn your heart into a stone. You simply need to give yourself the same kindness you're always giving away. You don't owe your silence to anyone's pain. Your feelings are valid. Your story matters. You can carry empathy in one hand and truth in the other. That's not contradiction. That's courage. And if no one ever told you that before, then hear it now, loud and clear. You are allowed to feel the full weight of your story without guilt. Her pain doesn't cancel out yours. And your healing doesn't mean you love her any less. It just means you finally love yourself enough to stop hiding your hurt behind her excuses. There comes a moment, quiet at first like a whisper in the ruins, when you realize no one is coming. No one is going to appear with arms wide open. No one is going to step into the void and finally give you what you always needed. The love, the safety, the approval, the comfort. And that moment, it feels like the world cracks beneath your feet. It feels like betrayal, like abandonment all over again. But then something wild happens, something powerful. You stand up, shaking, broken, angry, tear-streaked, and you say the words that change everything. I've got me now. That's the day you stop waiting for your mother to fix what she couldn't see. That's the day you stop holding out for an apology, a hug, a look of understanding that may never come. That's the day you become your own parent. And it's terrifying, but freeing. You begin to speak to yourself the way she never did. You start to say it's okay to cry. You don't have to be perfect. You're not too much. You build safety inside your own mind. You comfort the child in you who still flinches when someone raises their voice, who still panics when they feel ignored, who still seeks approval like oxygen. You hold them, you protect them, and little by little, you become the guardian you always deserved. It's not easy. It's not a light switch. It's a process, messy, emotional, exhausting, but oh, it's worth it. Because for the first time, you stop shrinking. You stop walking on eggshells. You stop bending into uncomfortable shapes just to feel accepted. You learn to set boundaries, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. You learn to say no, not because you're hard, but because you finally value your peace. You learn to rest, not out of laziness, but because the child in you was never allowed to slow down. Every step of this journey is an act of rebellion, a revolution. You're saying the pain stops with me. You're saying I'm not passing this chaos to the next version of myself. You become a parent to the most neglected soul of all, your own. You laugh with yourself. You cry with yourself. You celebrate your wins, even the tiny ones. You start to rebuild your inner world like a house with solid walls, warm lights, and a door that only opens for love. You are not weak for needing healing. You are not broken because of your past. You are brave. You are a warrior who chose to stay standing even when the ground kept falling beneath you. Parenting yourself means choosing growth over bitterness. It means being the voice that says, keep going, when every part of you wants to quit. And every time you do that, you rewrite your story. You stop being the victim. You become the protector, the nurturer, the guide. That's what real healing looks like. That's what transformation feels like. And if no one ever gave you the love you deserve, then give it to yourself now. Some of you who have, from my buy list of clients that I finally realized, none of them had clue or attitude under any conditions. There is bitterness, envy, and hatred, and just forgiveness. That word feels heavy, doesn't it? Like a chain, like a demand, like something you're forced to do for someone who never truly saw your pain. People throw it around so casually, just forgive and forget, they say. But they don't understand the fire behind your eyes when you remember. They don't understand the knot in your chest when you hear her voice echoing in your memories. And most of all, they don't understand that forgiveness is not about her. It never was. Forgiveness is not approval. It's not saying what happened was okay, because it wasn't. It hurt, it shook you. It left pieces of yourself scattered across the years. You are not wrong for feeling that. You are not bitter. You are not stuck. You are human. But here's where it gets powerful. When you forgive, truly forgive, you're not setting her free. You're setting yourself free. You're unlocking the emotional prison you didn't even realize you were sitting in. A prison where your energy was chained to the past, where your power was leaking through the cracks of old resentment. Forgiveness is not a handshake or a hug or a smile at a dinner table. Forgiveness is silent. It happens deep in the soul, in a moment when you look your pain in the eye and say, I don't need this anymore. It's about choosing peace over poison. It's about walking away from the cycle of anger and exhaustion, not because you're weak, but because you're done feeding a fire that burns only you. And yes, sometimes forgiveness happens without closure. Sometimes you forgive someone who never says sorry, who never admits what they did, who might still believe they did nothing wrong. That's okay. Your healing does not depend on her awareness. It never did. It depends on you, on your decision to stop carrying a past that can't be changed. That doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean you let her back into your life. Forgiveness doesn't always rebuild relationships. Sometimes it builds boundaries, strong, unshakable ones. Forgiveness doesn't erase, it evolves. It transforms rage into wisdom. It turns wounds into strength. It turns silence into power. Think about it. How much time have you already lost holding on to that pain? How many days have you spent replaying conversations that never happened? How many nights have you fought battles that were over years ago? You deserve peace. You deserve freedom. You deserve to breathe without the weight of yesterday dragging behind you. Let her go. Not because she earned it, but because you finally see that your future is too valuable to be buried in your past. When you forgive, it's not a whisper of weakness, it's a roar of release, a cry of, I am done. Done carrying the weight, done clinging to the hurt, done playing a part in a story that never gave you a voice. You're not excusing what happened. You're just choosing to no longer be its prisoner. And that is your liberation. You didn't choose the pain, but you get to choose what happens next. You've carried the silence long enough, worn the mask long enough, chased answers in all the wrong places for far too long. But now you know. You stared into the wound, and you didn't flinch. You faced the truth about your mother, not to blame, not to destroy, but to finally set yourself free. This is not your ending. This is your uprising. The day you looked inward and chose to rebuild yourself from the ashes, with your own hands, with your own strength, with your own voice. You are not broken. You are not small. You are the storm that rises after the quiet.